My name is Jiles Smith, and welcome to our community. Welcome to our community. You guys have been in the high desert for 11 years, so that's great. You've been in the community, you understand what's going on. But I want to ask the first question. What separates the Volsch team from every other real estate office out there?
Well, actually, Giles, we've always considered ourselves being in the relationship business, not the real estate business. And what that means is, if we sit down with you and look at your situation and decide we can help you and you choose to have us on your team, we're in relationship for life. Because we feel that what you're doing is the biggest financial choice of your life, and you just deserve to have somebody on your team that you trust to take you to where you want to go.
So it's that time of year, people are really looking into buying a new home. What should they look for?
What should they look for? That's a very good question. You know, Giles, back to the fact that we're in the relationship business, is every situation is different. And because of that, we want to set up with you as a prospective family member for us a strategy session. So we'll set up a consultation where we can sit down with you and go over some information that's privy to you, and then put together a strategy to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So it's really difficult for me to say exactly what to look for, because I don't know what's important to your family. I don't know if it's neighborhood, I don't know if your children are in school, or you want to be in a particular school district, or close to a certain school, or maybe to your work, or maybe far away from everything. So it's different for every family, and we take the time, invest our time to understand what's important to you, and then walk you through that process so that you get a clear understanding of what's important, and then we understand and we can do the best homework for you to take you on that route very successfully.
One of the most important things, and that's part of our consultation with new prospective home buyers, is to have an appointment set up with a mortgage lender, and they're going to go through and do a complete analysis of that family's financial situation. And they're going to look at all the different factors, including their income, how much debt they currently have, like student loans, car payments, credit card debt, and they're going to balance that against what they make and their earnings from their job. And a thorough analysis will be done. And it's good to do that when you're in a relaxed state, not under the gun. Oftentimes people get the horse in front of the buggy in front of the horse, and they'll start going out looking at houses, and they have no idea what they can qualify for. And there's a lot of different factors involved with it. They're going to need to have access to all of their bank information, how much money they have in the bank, and they're going to need some money. There's good programs, I'll talk about those a little bit later, but they're going to need to have some money either from their savings, their checking, or even a 401k plan is available for people if they have money in those accounts to help with the down payment and closing costs and so on. And they're going to look at all of their credit. They're going to make a recommendation based on that particular situation. And Charlotte mentioned it, but it's important. There's not a cookie cutter approach to this process. And every single person needs to have that clarity. It'll take a lot of the stress out of the whole experience if they have the ability to know up front how much they can qualify for. And that way they'll know up front what price range they're qualified for. And I want to say too that sometimes the banks or the financial institution would be willing to loan you more money than you want to borrow. Okay, so I think it's really important for families to have a good clarity around it, understand what the servicing of the debt's going to involve every month, and looking at the whole picture is really important. That's why the consultation is important, because if they've got kids getting ready to go into college, they may have to allocate more funds for that than they would for say, buying a house. And so we really feel it's important to have a clear understanding, mostly for the client to have a clear understanding, and without the financial piece, it's impossible to make a good decision.
One of the reasons we had this real estate crisis that we had, this financial crisis, is that people were in houses that really shouldn't afford it, couldn't afford it. So how does a person or a family decide that this is a house that I can afford? How do they come to that determination?
A couple of things about the loans that are available. There's still zero down loan programs available. I think, we're approaching Memorial Day here, and a lot of veterans qualify for 100% financing. Most of them do through the Veterans Administration. It's called the VA loan. Now, in any of these very low down payment or zero down payment loans, I think it's important that all of the people, the prospective buyers, know they're going to still have to have some money.
Right.
They're going to have some money, even if it's a zero down on the loan, they'll loan 100% of the property, they still have closing costs and some other associated fees. And depending on the type of loan, some of the lenders want them to have some reserve, some money left over, so they're not completely broke when they get done buying the house. And there's also there's a thing called USDA, which is more for rural type loans, or just not inside the city limits. So you can get 100% financing with the USDA, which is a department of the government, and they offer zero down financing. And there's also lenders that will assist with down payment and closing costs. Various cities here in the high desert have down payment assistance programs that will help with closing costs and down payments. And those are also allows, again, we have to look, and they have qualifications. There's different qualifications for every client. Now, I'm not a mortgage lender. I was a mortgage broker for 10 years, so I know a lot about that part of it. But every situation, a good mortgage lender is going to research and find the best match of the loan program to that family or that individual, and that's really an important relationship to have. And if the prospective buyers don't have a lender, a mortgage professional, a real estate professional would certainly be able to refer them to one. Yes, it really does. The 10 and 15-year loans are available. There's pluses and minuses to those. Obviously, you're going to pay the loan off faster. But the other side of it is that it kind of puts you in a corner in terms of you have a higher payment every month. And also, if you qualify, say, for a 15-year loan, your house payment's going to be a few $100s more every month. And that will also reduce the amount of total price of the house that you can qualify for. The funny thing that most people don't realize is that even with a 30-year loan, you can still pay it off in 15 years. You can, your mortgage professional can tell you how much your payment would be on a 15-year note. If you just make that payment, you'll own it in 15 years without having that extra pressure every month. If one of your children needs braces, or you got a car transmission goes out or something, you're locked into a higher payment with a 15-year note, and it's fine if you can afford it. But we like to see there's lots of options available to you, and of course there's also fixed rates and adjustable rates, and obviously that's an individual decision. But based on the current rates for fixed rates, I personally would not recommend any of my clients at this point take on the risk of an adjustable rate mortgage, because we don't know where the rates are going to go 5 or 10 years from now. We're talking about rates right now that are under 4% for most people, and that's pretty hard to beat when you can lock it in for 30 years.
Question, and that all depends on what your situation is. Again, some people just cannot buy right now, so it's a good time to rent for them. And For some people, they're just learning the area. It might be a good time to rent for maybe 3 to 6 months, just to get comfortable with where they want to put their children in school and where they're going to be traveling for work and so forth, so that they're not locked into an area financially with a mortgage and then 6 months later say, boy, if I would have known, I would have been over here. So again, we like to look at their particular situation and give them some pointers. As a consultant to them, we don't, it's all the choices are theirs, but we try to give them the best information so they can make good choices. And right now in the state of California, this little grid tells you the differences between renting and buying. In the Inland Empire, of which we are part of, it's actually costs less to buy with your monthly payment than to rent. But again, it all depends on what your personal situation is. In today's market, the inventory is very tight, so it's a great time if you have the resources for the down payment to look at building. And the advantages to that is that you have state-of-the-art energy efficiency in all of the home. All homes now are required to have sprinkler systems, and with the E-grade windows and again, with it being custom built for you, it's going to have in it everything that you want, and the layout and the flow the way you would like to have it for your family. So those are some major advantages. The build time can be as short as between 4 to 6 months, and it's designed to meet what you want and put where you want it to be, either on land you already own, or we can help you find a lot that will support the layout of the home that you want.
Well, I'll just talk a little bit about refinancing. Obviously, if the problem with refinancing for a lot of people is that the value of the homes have to support the appraisal has to support the value. There is programs, again, it's an individual thing that a mortgage professional could really help you out with. But the reality is that with the rates being where they're at, if you can drop your rate from say 6% or 5.5% down to 4%, that's going to make a big difference. And we would highly recommend you at least investigate that, because there is some programs available now that allow people, even if they owe more on their house than it's currently worth, they still may be able to refinance. And again, get the people involved that can professionally help you. The mortgage professionals, there's lots of great ones here in the high desert. Veterans can refinance, and actually people that are have certain types of government loans like FHA loans, they can always refinance, and there won't be any fees associated with that either.
How about if you
well, every situation is different. I can't make a blanket statement, but obviously if it improves your situation financially, generally, especially with an FHA loan or VA, they're more inclined to approve those, even if there's some leeway. And again, it's an individual call for each lender. But there is guidelines in place, and the government's trying to help in some ways to make some of these programs available for people that already own their homes. So. Okay. Well, I would think that the first step is always to have an initial consultation. And people tend to, when they have credit issues or problems, they tend to be a little embarrassed about it. We've all been there. And this will allow them really the opportunity to really, without anybody but just besides the professional that's helping you, to help them walk through that process. I've had a lot of clients that I've helped, and Charlotte and I have helped, that had credit problems. A good mortgage lender will guide you in that process and tell you what you need to do to get it squared away. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to have certain guidelines met, and they'll help you get to those guidelines very quickly. And that's what I would say. A good mortgage lender will help you with that process and make it a lot easier, take a lot of the stress out of it for you too, and be able to, because if you don't, unfortunately, doing nothing is never going to fix it. But having a game plan, and it doesn't take forever. Months go by very quickly, and very quickly you can go from where you can't buy. We handed keys to a young couple here just 2 months ago that came to us less than a year ago and had all kinds of challenges. And they were able to, because they were involved and they were actively involved in the process, and they did what they needed to do with the guidance from the professional, and they got their keys to their new house.
I think back to where we started, what makes us different is our consulting, and we just feel a passion that we will invest our time with individuals to sit down and set up that strategy session. We just feel that is so, so important. And as Cecil just alluded to, the credit issues, it's really important for them to feel comfortable with us to invite us in for that. But with that comes some good pointers on what to do next. And I really feel bad for people that have reached out to someone that's going to charge them to maybe do some credit fixes, and then in fact it causes more damage than good in the long run. So it's really worth their time to invest to get some good pointers. We don't charge for our consulting. We just feel it's that important that they have accurate information to make some good choices from there.
Yeah, that falls right into what I was going to say, but I think the other side of it is that we're long-term thinkers. It's funny when you mentioned about how long you've been in the business, and I had a conversation, and I actually have an appointment with my first client I ever had when I got in the business. And his daughter is now, she was a little tyke when I first met him, and now she's getting ready to buy a house. And so we have an appointment set up in a week to meet with her and to reacquaint again with him to catch up, you know.
Right.
And so there's many people, unfortunately, that have a right now mentality, and buying a house is a lifelong. I tell my clients when they buy that the decisions we're going to make together here in the next few weeks and months working together are going to affect their great-grandchildren's financial picture.
Right.
So those are important decisions, and we're long-term. If they're not ready right now because they have to save up some more money or they have to work on some credit issues or whatever, we just want them to know that we're going to be there when they're ready. And pressure doesn't work if they don't know what to do, and so we really help them decide what they really want and then come up with a game plan to help them reach what their goals and objectives are.
People reaching their true potential. I like that. How can people get a hold of you? Have any questions?
Well, I think the best way is probably to call our cell phones, or they could text. Mine is 760-912-8904, and Charlotte's cell phone number is 760-912-8905.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Giles.
Thank you for being in our
Thank you, Giles.
community. And you know,